When is the sound effect done?
It's our studio audience.
Yep, that's our studio audience. All right, we don't have a name for the podcast, but today we're joined with none other than Mr. Soule. We're going to ask him a quick 20 to 30 second bit of questions to get to know him, and then we'll break into the big question. So, Mr. Soule,
Yes.
The first question is, what is your name? But I already blew it. So, how old are you?
I'm 52.
And what subject do you teach?
I teach biology and freshwater ecology.
All right. Do you have kids?
I have one
One
son,
kid.
Yeah.
All right. Dogs or cats?
No.
Would you
Chickens.
say chickens? Oh, all right. Would you say you're introverted or extroverted?
Extroverted.
How many years have you been teaching?
I believe this is my 8th year at Pentucket.
And describe Pentucket in 2 words.
Ooh, friendly and exciting.
All right.
All right.
James, hit him with the big
All right,
question.
Now we're gonna
here we
get
go.
the big question. How has your teaching philosophy evolved throughout your career? And what factors have influenced those changes?
Ooh, wow, yeah. How's my teaching philosophy evolved? Probably it's become more collaborative.
Yeah.
So I think when I first started teaching, I felt like I had to do everything on my own. I had to make up my own materials, and I had to reinvent things and, put my own twist on them. And I realized that's not only really hard to do, but it's probably not always the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Did that start in Pentucket, or did you start teaching at another school and you?
Yeah, I have kind of a long and strange career.
Yeah.
So I was actually trained as an English teacher originally,
Oh, really?
and then kind of followed my love of science to become a science teacher.
Did the English teaching affect how you teach science? Are they kind of one in each other?
I think so, yeah, just because when you read literature and you do a lot of writing, you realize how important it is to understand the specific words you're using to describe something or to understand a concept. And so I think that made me more sensitive to how students perceive science language, which is hard.
Because in your classes, you do ask the class a whole bunch of questions to see what they want to do. You make sure they're all pretty engaged.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, I know what it's like to be a student.
From my perspective, I feel like that's what it's like.
Because you've had James, right? You haven't had
For
me.
sure,
So.
yeah. As a ninth grader, and then again, yeah. Yeah,
And
that was my experience as a student. I felt a lot of times teachers kind of just steamrolled through stuff. And
Yeah.
didn't stop to be like, hey, do you know what I'm talking about?
Give him a chance.
Yeah.
So I haven't had your class. Is it more of like one of those social science classes where you have groups of tables, or is it desks and you take notes, or is it interactive with the labs? Because I've had Miss Goodrich and Miss Ward, and this year, why am I drawing a blank? We'll just skip over that. That's who I've had
That
the past 2
happens.
years. Mr. Jakes, that's who I have.
Mr. Jakes,
It's
there
physics,
you
not
go.
really sciencey.
Yeah. I mean, probably a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to mix it up. I think hopefully that's your experience every day. Is that
Yeah.
sometimes you got to sit and take notes, but sometimes you got to collaborate, and then obviously in science we get to do a little bit more like labs and activities, which is fun. Yeah.
So when it comes to your philosophy evolving, does it have to do with your teaching methods or also how you interact with students?
Ooh, yeah, so definitely teaching methods. I've been really lucky. Mrs. Ward and I collaborate really well, and we kind of just do everything together for biology. It doesn't even seem like a job requirement. It's just kind of how I'm used to doing things now. And then for sure, again, I've been a student for my whole life, so I understand that while you do have to learn to do things on your own, you're way more productive when you do things together with other people.
And lastly, the second part of that question was what factors have influenced those changes? So maybe it comes from students or communicating with other faculty members or just learning from your mistakes. Is there any real factor that you can remember that really influenced?
So I did my student teaching at North Andover High School. So when I became a science teacher, I was a biology teacher there. And the teacher I worked with, who was my mentor, that was her style. And so from day one, she kind of pulled me in with another teacher there and just was like, this is how we're going to do things. So
all right.
It just kind of became,
So do you have a different style of teaching that you'd bring in at different classes? Say your biology class from your freshwater class would be a different kind of mindset going into that?
I think so. For grade 9 biology, your students are younger. They need a little bit more structure. They need, I think, a little bit more. And then for freshwater ecology or another, junior, senior science elective, more of what you talked about, more freedom, make choices, make decisions, work more independently, I think.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've covered this question quite nicely. Can we hit the clapping sound effect just to send this off?
I think I can.
All right. I don't know if you can hear me, but thank you for listening to the podcast.
Awesome.
That was our first episode. We covered the question. Thank you to Mr. Soule for showing up. Thank you for James to controlling the audio. And yeah,
Thank you to Aiden.
It's been a wild ride. It's been real, guys. All right, cut.
Thanks.